let's take a look at our top selections for Dan Illman, Mike Buer kicking off a $200,000 guaranteed late pick four at Keeneland on Friday with this race. Race number 7. Let's throw up the field for the $100,000 Limestone Turf Sprint. 3-year-old fillies going 5.5 furlongs on the lawn. It's a big field. Campanelli, the number 8, goes out for Wesley Ward. 8-5 on the morning line. Did some very nice things at 2, Mike. A Group 1 winner in France, a Group 2 winner in England. And they tried a mile in the Breeders' Cup, and it was probably too far against a pretty good horse.
Yeah, listen, she was really good as a 2-year-old sprinting on the turf, Dan. I suppose it's possible that coming back now at 3 and returning to sprinting, listen, maybe she's just too good for this field. But if she's not, this is an absolute war. There were a lot of good horses in here.
I agree. Let's throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US believes that the pace will be fast. It's kind of hard to predict how this pace is going to go. The good news for the 9 going good is that she has speed, but she also has proven that she can sit from off of the pace. I would assume that Igloo, the 5, is going to go. I think the 3, Karimba, the other Wesley Ward trained horse, will be forwardly placed as well.
Yeah, we'll see how much speed Karimba has. This is a nice class test for her. I'm not going to sit here and argue too hard with the pace projector. Then, I mean, I think it's pretty hard to tell what's going to happen, but certainly there are some fast fillies in here.
I've been very visually impressed with a well-bred horse down on the rail. That's the number 1, In a Jiffy, a perfect 2 for 2 at the fairgrounds. Now, she won her career debut at 31-1. You rarely see a horse come from 15 lengths out of it in a 12-horse field to win, going 5.5 on the turf. She did so. She got a better trip in her second start, but I like that she showed tactical speed to beat a couple of next out winners.
Yeah, I like both of those things too, Dan. Her career debut, even though she got, she was pretty far back early. When you watch the race, it's not like, she just got totally outrun in there. They just really were sort of letting her settle back off the pace, and that they did not rush her at all. She did get a really nice run up the inside in there, but man, she really looked like she leveled off with a pretty fast finish. And that race came back in their second start. I agree with you. A much better trip, keeping closer to the pace. Once again, got through and took over with another good finish in there. This filly could be pretty good.
4th place horse from her most recent start came back to win a 1X at Turfway on the Synth with a 79 buyer. Threat Level Midnight's the number 2. She's won twice in her career, both on synthetic against weaker competition. I thought she ran okay last time out, doing a lot of work on the lead, but this is a big step up in class.
Yeah, I mean, she just looks like one of the bigger prices in the race. We'll see what kind of trip she can get and whether she can improve by a lot. They ran her on turf in her debut, Dan. I know it was only her debut. You don't got to be too hard on her. I didn't think she ran well in that race, though.
Runner-up from her last race came back to run second again for a $50,000 tag at Turfway with a 66 buyer. Karimba, the number 3, hasn't been headed from 2 lifetime starts, both of those races at Indiana Grand. And last time out, she only caught 3 other horses. She basically was handed an easy lead. She took the turns a little awkwardly, and she was much the best. As you mentioned in the open, big step up from a pace standpoint with other speeds, but also a big step up in class as she makes her first starts in September.
Right. I mean, listen, it feels like there's just a lot working against her in this race. On the other hand, she won twice as a 2-year-old, both of her starts as a 2-year-old. She ran buyers of 81 and 82 as a 2-year-old filly sprinting on the grass. Those are really good figures. She probably wasn't beating much. It's hard to get too impressed with her, Dan, but she certainly looked like she can run a little bit, and she's fast.
She's by Cantharos, an excellent turf sprint stallion, and so is the 4, Salvaje. Big price on the morning line for Salvaje, who is a professional maiden winner, 73 buyer on December the 26th. Going to step up off the layoff. I thought she beat an okay field, though. The runner-up from that race came back to run second with a 74 buyer.
Yeah, runner-up in that race actually ran pretty well, just left herself too much to do in the stretch and couldn't get up at the end. I thought Salvaje ran well. She didn't do quite enough to get me interested against this field, but this is another horse who could turn out to be pretty good down the line.
Big price on the 5, Igloo, as she tries turf for the first time. She has shown big speed in both starts at Turfway on the synthetic. She went very fast, 44-3 on the poly track last time out before finishing 3rd in the Cincinnati Trophy. We're going to see her on the lead or close to it once again. Turf a question mark, class a question mark.
Yeah, I would think that she'll try to use her speed again, Dan. I'd be more willing to give her a second look in here if, because her last race, she did go a pretty fast pace. I'd be a little more forgiving though if Phantom Vision, who finished ahead of her that day, sort of like came from out of it or something. Phantom Vision kept after her all the way and outfinished her at the end.
New boss, the number 6, did some good things in her seasonal debut. Brett Calhoun stretched her out from 5.5 to a mile. And sometimes these horses that show speed sprinting are just runaways. She came to hand very nicely for Adam Beskiza. They rated on the lead. It was not a very fast pace, but I loved the way that she turned loose in upper stretch, put away the other pace foe, and kept right on going. I don't like turnbacks on turf, but she's done it before going short on the grass.
Her 2 turf sprints are both pretty good. She stole that race last time on a really slow pace and then just sprinted home. Not that she didn't run well, but she had all the best of it there. Her 2 turf sprints were good though, Dan. Even when Going Good beat her in her turf debut at the beginning of December, I thought this horse ran well in that race.
In some ways, Toby's Heart's the key to this race, isn't she? She looked so good in her first 2 starts sprinting last year, including a victory in the Bolton's Landing at Saratoga. And then they ran her in an interesting spot. In her first start off a long layoff, her first start at 3, they stretched her out. And I just don't think 2 turns is what's going to be Toby's Heart's best game. They turn her all the way back, and if this pace falls apart, she could be running late.
Yeah, I guess they had to try to stretch her out because she showed, a good amount of ability as a 2-year-old, even though we only saw her twice. You got to try to find out how far they want to go. It seems like she doesn't want to go that far. Man, her 2 races last year, though, were both really good, and she did it from off the pace, too, Dan. If that pace projector is even close to right, this horse could have a great setup in here.
Campanella, your morning line favorite, Joel Rosario on fire at Keeneland. Again, a multiple group winner overseas for Wesley Ward. The Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, sort of a tough situation for her, not only from a distance standpoint, but they just put her on the chase against Aunt Pearl, who took that field gate to wire. She's a very talented horse, and I don't think that trip really worked out for her.
Yeah, it probably didn't. Listen, she was really good last year. It's funny, when she broke her maiden first time out of Gulfstream, I don't know, I wasn't that taken with it. I thought she beat a mediocre field on a loose lead. It didn't look like she was going that fast to me. I don't know. I guess I was totally wrong about that. They shipped her overseas. She won 2 big sprint races over there. She even won the Queen Mary, Dan, an 18-horse field. Didn't even make the lead in there and still won.
Going Good, the number 9, I think has some ability. I like the turn of foot she showed in her second lifetime start, coming from out of it to beat New Boss. She was on the lead in her debut at Indiana Grand, and she started this year off on dirt. I think that was a good setup race here. The outside post gives Giroux options. She should be in the thick of things turning for home.
Yeah, I think she ran well in both of her races too. And I like you, I like that she did it the second time without the lead in there. I thought she ran well that day. Again, I thought New Boss ran well in that race. This horse sat off it and came and got that horse. I think they're both pretty good. That could be a pretty live race.
I think the 10 Alda has a puncher's chance from the back of the pack, Mike. She only threw in 1 stinker last year, and that was in the Breeders' Cup. Graham Motion excels off all kinds of layoffs. Here's the formulator fact concerning the number 10 Alda. Off of 120 to 180 day layoffs, 3-year-olds on turf, 4 for the last 7. $8.45 ROI. This filly did some okay things. Maybe wasn't the flashiest filly in the world, but she'll come running late, and I'm not worried about the layoff.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the layoff either. A fast pace would be to her benefit. I guess the only sticking point, at least for me, Dan, would just be, is 5.5 going to ultimately be too short for her? Going back to the beginning of her career last year, she ran well first time out. That felt like the 5 was just too short for her. And then they went 6.5 in a mile, and it feels like she improved with more distance. So is 5.5 too sharp? I don't know, but if it's not, she can win.
Coming in from Southern California is the 11 Nimbo Stratus, attracting Luis Saez for Peter Miller. Let's watch her most recent start last month. Nimbo Stratus got a nice pace to rally into. She's going to come all the way around this field, and she's just going to get up in the shadow of the wire. Career best Beyer speed figure 83. The Beyers have been going the right way for a while. She gets a test stepping up in class.
She does. She ran well in here. You saw her come around to the outside at the top of the stretch. The runner-up slipped through on the rail with a little bit of a better trip. I guess the only problem is it doesn't seem like that brilliant cut who she ran down at the end there quite measures up with this field.
Michael Maker sends out the 12 Phantom Vision. We'll go back to Phantom Vision's race 2 starts back. The last time she ran on turf, it was a mile and a 16th, and it was likely just a little bit too far for Phantom Vision, who made the lead, took a bump here from that horse on the outside, and she's just going to get tired. Her prior turf sprint resulted in a victory, albeit in relatively slow time. Last time out in Turfway, she ran okay.
Yeah, she did run okay. That's the race we talked about before with Igloo, setting a pretty fast pace, but this horse, again, just kept right after her. She was never far away. outfinished that one, couldn't hold off the long shot winner at the end. I don't know, Dan. I wasn't really thrilled with that Turfway race last time. I want other horses.
It's a shame the 13 Navratilova drew such a lousy outside post position for her first start off the layoff, because I really liked her turf sprint in her debut. What was not to like? She came from way out of it and she dominated them at the very end. They ran her in the Jessamine. They stretched her out against Aunt Pearl. I won't hold that race against her. I think she's going to be okay this year. She might need one for Rusty Arnold.
I agree. I think she's going to be okay too. I kind of wonder if she's going to be okay sprinting or if she's going to be okay going longer. It feels like she's bred to be okay going longer. She did run well first time out, though, Dan. I'm not going to deny that. This is a horse who could easily be good enough to contend here, and she's 30-1 on the line.
Let's take a look at our top picks, and we're all over the place. It's that wide open a race in the Limestone Turf Sprint. 15-1, Mike, on your top pick. The undefeated In a Jiffy should save some ground and get some pace.
Listen, I just like both of her races, Dan. I feel like she looks like the kind of horse who could have a lot of upside, and she's going to be a price in here. Those are the kinds of horses I was looking for. Not that I'm, way against the morning line favorite Campanelli. I think that horse is good, but I thought the one looked good. I think Toby's Heart looked really good last year, and I'm willing to use her cutting back as well.
I like New Boss's professionalism and versatility. She's won sprinting. She's won going long. I think she can sit off the pace if need be. I'm curious to see what sort of price we get with her. I'm expecting Campanelli to take a lot of money. 1-7-8-10 for Mike, 6-8-3-11 for me. Good race to kick off this guaranteed wager, a $200,000 guaranteed late pick 4 at Keeneland on Friday. Best of luck.